Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dominions 5. I've got the next turn for you in Late Age Tianqi. I've actually just finished playing it, but let's look at the turn summary here. So we see that Ulm has attacked us, but this is not. So what's happened is that he, I guess, is trying to cannibalize some of this northern man territory. So let's look at what he's actually attacked with. So first of all, has a magic attack here, where he used a blood spell. This is actually not a super cheap spell. This is let's see, where is it? Horde from Hell. 45 blood slaves. This tells me Ulm probably has a fairly sizable blood economy. But 45 blood slaves is a bit on the expensive side for the kind of shitty troops that you get, which are just a bunch of imps. So they kill the 1 PD. But this was a province that we were moving back to, or actually we were, I guess, reinforcing with this squad of heavy cav and a mage. So even though these guys fly, we just kind of kill them. Yeah. So this was this province here. So he magic phased this province, but then we were taking our heavy cav and moving over there. Then over here, again, we were moving back into this province, and he happened to move onto here with a small raiding force. Now, Lady Drum has these free spawn wolves, which are really good for patrolling, and then he's got a typical sort of this is like a medium. This is a light infantry, or medium infantry, I guess. 14 protection, and then halberdiers, which are big two-handed weapons that hurt a lot. But this is strictly inferior to barbarian heavy cav, and most definitely inferior to sacred heavy cav. So you can see, so our guys are on attack rear. Even though these guys get, there's only a few of them that hit the front lines. One of them happened to get body ethereal, which is convenient. With a few howling bow shots from the sacreds, they just all run away. And I think we lose like one heavy cav, so no worries here. Then he takes this province. I only had 1 PD here. Now here he's got his Black Priest. Incidentally, we can see here what his bless is. Not too surprising. L.A. Ulm has just taken Death Weapons and Blood Search. It's very typical for L.A. Ulm to just take a little Blood Death Pretender so they can do their national blood summons easier. Like often dormant, but it could be imprisoned, I guess. And their blood summons are these fellows. This is one of them. There's like 7 or 8 unique little vampire dudes and dudettes. And he's kind of kitted them out as thugs. So he's got Vine Shield, Flesh Eater, Fear Hat, Regen, and Girdle of Might. So this can be pretty scary. This guy comes with Berserker, which is pretty cool. He's got Invulnerable 25, so you kind of really need magic weapons to deal with it. And it is undead, and it's got Slash and Blunt resistance. Now, honestly, my Sacreds will make pretty short work of this. Now, I have Solar Weapons, which is 9 AP damage, 9 AP fire damage. Now, he doesn't have any fire resistance. He doesn't have any fire vulnerability. 9 AP versus 22 protection is going to do like some chip damage if you're lucky. But the Death Weapons is what's going to get him, because Death Weapons is armor negating. And there's an MR check, but his MR is really low. So Death Weapons is really going to wreck this guy's day. But that's not really what this guy has to worry about. These guys are undead. So the thing is, Death Weapons would be really scary. Now, he has a huge amount of regen. He has 20% built into the chassis, I assume, and then another 10% from the Ring of Regen. So 30% regen sounds like a lot, but it's only on a 30 hit point chassis. And this isn't like a vampire that can do death and blood, so it can't do like soul vortex. So like 30% regen on a 30 HP chassis is only like 9 HP. It's not a huge deal. It's nice, but it's not like unsurmountable. What's really going to do this guy in is that he's undead, so we can just like dust to dust him and like kill him in 2 hits, because dust to dust is armor negating damage. So yeah, just being undead means he's quite vulnerable. Now that's not, he's immortal, so he'll come back. But killing this kit worth of gems is not is going to be really annoying. He does have full dark vision. Good to know. Good to keep in mind. Yeah, so given the mages that we have, I'm not too worried about this. Plus, just astral spells in general will work well against him. Yet they have pretty low magic resistance. Now, there are other guys that have slightly different paths and different stats, but that's sort of an example of what LA Ulm can do. Over here, we had just put 10 heavy cav on here, and they got moved off. So here he's got a bit of a bigger army. He's got shield infantry, halberds. He's got some rangers. These are the super cheap crossbows that Ulm has, a very good unit. And then in the back, he has a ranger captain, who I guess was leading around the rangers. And then here he has a demon knight, which are really nasty units. This is an excellent blood summon. And then he's got another one of the national summons, who already has a limp, unfortunately for him. Now this one has earth, death, and blood. Although the death path is really low, it'd be really hard for him to do. Well, he'd have to have like a booster, which would be pretty expensive if you wanted to do a soul vortex. But you can see similar kind of set of paths here. But he happens to be on a horse. But the earth makes him a even more formidable thug, but does nothing to protect him against his weaknesses, which are the fact that he's undead, and getting more protection won't help against armor negating damage. So now I didn't get any messages from Ulm. He just did this. We had talked before, if you'll recall, a few episodes ago. There were some like complicated Diplo involving Panchi and stuff like that. And we were kind of on friendly terms. And I'm actually in another game with this player, and we had good terms there. So we didn't agree to an app or anything. At the time, if you'll recall, in this game, he was talking to me, and he seemed to be worried about me getting really big from Conquering Man. And he might have scouted the battle that we won very convincingly, and now he's thinking, well, I'm okay if, like, he can win the war, but I want to get something out of it. Now, I'm actually not opposed to, like, Ulm taking this fort, and if he ended up with, like, a few provinces, I could live with that. What he can't have is this throne. So that is something that we'll have to, I might actually just send a message to him and say, like, look, you want to take some of man, that's okay. You can have these provinces for free, but I'm taking this throne and I'm taking the capital. Even if he wants to have the whole coast, he can take the whole coast. That would insulate me from Relay. That make me even happier, actually. But he can't have these 2 provinces. So I'll tell him that. If he insists on taking them, then I will take it from him. Now, in the short term, though, honestly, this is kind of okay. I've decided to consolidate this army here. That was the original plan, by the way, was to consolidate this army here so that we could then move on to Man's Fort over here. Now, I'm not going to do that because Ulm is clearly going to move into here, so there's no point in me challenging this right now. However, I do need to make sure that this army doesn't, like this, either one of these could die to one of these thugs or a medium army from Ulm. He doesn't seem to have much here. I assume blood hunting here, given the number of thralls and wolves, so that's good for him. What I might do is just kind of because of the geography here, it's not easy for me to continue raiding into man down here. So I think we're going to take these raiders and maybe do some like strategic counter raiding. Try to make Ulm's raiding into my newly conquered lands as cost and efficient as possible. Now there's a couple possibilities here. Ulm might actually boldly move into my core lands here. But I don't think that's his intent with this war. I think what he's trying to do is just to take this man's former lands for himself and not let me take them. So I don't think he's going to push over here. But it'll be interesting to see next turn if he puts more people on this fort. Because what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to let Ulm siege this down for us, and then we're going to kick him off it and take it for ourselves. That's my plan. So, by the way, I think the walls here were breached last turn, and I just forgot to do the Storm Castle order. So, maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering the last turn, but that might have happened. So, oops. So we're storming the fort this turn. Yeah. So I think my plan here is just to we're going to storm this turn, and then next turn we're going to see to what extent this changes. And in fact, I almost want to ping it again. Nah, we only have mages. Yeah. And if he just... So we'll see next turn, because what I might do, honestly, is just... I kind of want to bait it, though. But yeah, if he sieges this down... If he doesn't add more troops, it'll be awkward. I kind of want him to add all troops. I kind of want him to move his big stack here, because I'm fairly confident that I can kill him. Now, I don't know, because... Okay, here's why I say that. What is in his lineup? Like, I'm seeing a lot of these troops. This is complete garbage. In terms of what I'm bringing. So, first of all, shield medium infantry is going to do nothing against heavy cav. Guys with halberds, they have 9 attack. They're never going to hit. Look, guys. Okay, this is normal heavy cav. They have 15 defense. So already you're like almost never going to hit them with your halberd. I mean, if you hit them, they won't even die because they've got 15 protection, which is decent. The hit will probably be on the shield, so you're getting like a parry. So yeah, you're actually barely doing chip damage, and they got 12 hit points, so they probably live through like one hit. So you're not even going to one hit a barb heavy cav, and you're like never going to touch a sacred. Who has 17 defense and then 17 protection. He's got Battlefred for some reason. Yeah, no, that's just... The infantry is in a great matchup here. Let's take a look at the lineup here for Ulm. So he's got... So the Pikeneers, you'd think, oh, they'll repel, but the attack value is only 10, and so you have to score like an attack against the defense of the attacking unit. And because I'm using heavy cav, like I said, my defense is like 15 or 17. So the Prel checks are not going to happen. Plus my guys have good morale, so they'll overcome it. Halberdiers, this is what he's using, which is... I mean, I like Halberdiers. They're not bad units, but 9 attack is really low. They're not great against high defense units. Then the infantry, the Morning Star has like, okay, plus attack for shield, but there's like a 14 protection... This is, like, the tower shield is not, whatever. It doesn't matter versus... So, okay, these guys are going to block a lot of arrows, for sure. Like, a lot of arrows are going to miss because of the tower shield. But if my arrows do hit, excuse me, it's Ulm, so they have low magic resistance, so death weapons is going to proc almost all the time. The fear effect might proc. There's just bad news. These actually won't stand up very well to Howling Bows with my bless, and they're certainly not going to stand up to being slammed into by heavy cav. His other options, excuse me one moment, had to cough there. Let me just go through the other melee options. He's got Zweihanders. Now this would be a much better choice. This is a much better unit because 12 attack you're actually going to hit with your big sword. So I kind of feel like this is what he needs to be bringing, not halberdiers. And they have 21 protection, which again not relevant for the sacreds who are going to death weapon these guys to death. But against the regular barbarian heavy cav, this makes a huge difference. This is an excellent unit. The Ghoul Guardian is undead, but similarly, I mean, it's equivalent to this basically in terms of what he's fighting. Like the fact that it's magic and does fatigue damage to sacreds would be nice. I don't know if in terms of numbers, it's worth the 20 gold, you know, more than the 20 gold versus the 14 gold. Maybe. Let's see, attack. The attack skill is the same. Length 3 could be. Undead is going to make them a bit more vulnerable to some spells, but a bit more resistant to other spells. I don't know. If I was fighting late age Tianqi, I think you still probably recruit these out of your capital. And the rest of your army should probably be Suihanders. Now, the heavy cav sacreds are with his bless. His bless is just decay weapons and blood surge. Blood surge is an amazing bless, but I mean these wouldn't be bad, but they're really expensive. Like I literally can get one of these is the cost of 3+ of my just non-sacred barbarian heavy cav. And blood surge is not enough to make this guy. I don't think, I have to test it, but I don't think this guy beats 3 barbarian heavy cav with the bless that he has. Maybe he does. We'd have to test that. That'd be interesting. But he doesn't appear to be using them anyways. So those are troops. Now the rangers are, unfortunately for Ulm, completely useless by this stage of the game because I'm doing turn 1 arrow fend. So maybe there'll be 1 volley of crossbows, but these guys are going to do nothing. So these are dead weight. In fact, these are going to contribute to him HP routing, and so are all his free spawn wolves, which, as you saw here, just got completely wrecked. So if he brings an army with a ton of free spawn wolves, they're just going to all get deleted. And, like, this can cause your army to HP route pretty fast. Now, Ulm has another problem. Which is, and let me confirm this. So, okay, so the Black Acolyte is just an Inquisitor Priest. So we've got an Astral Mage, which is great. Astral 2 Mage with blood and other paths. We've got the Black Priest. So the Black Priest is Air 1. And therefore, and he has the cross paths to forge crystal hats and crystal matrices. So he could be doing Arrow Fend. And that should be something that he has prioritized. But he might not have. So that's an important thing to see if he has done. That will be a key play on his part. If you're going to attack into late age Tianqi, who has a pretty nasty bless, like an attack bless, you need to have Arrow Fend up, because otherwise the Howling Bulls are going to wreck you. Now, so it's possible that he has it, but it is not a given. It would take a bit of doing for him to get Arrow Fend up. It's certainly, enchantment is certainly something you'd consider researching, because you're probably thinking about doing Skelespam with some vampires and things like that. So it's totally reasonable that he has this research, but casting it requires a little bit of a communion. He has to have the mages with the cross paths. It's totally doable. I hope he hasn't done it. And if he hasn't done it, then we're definitely going to wreck his army. Now, honestly, I don't know what other... the magic paths are a bit limited. It's an astral nation, so, we could have a big astral communion coming out. He's pretty deep into blood, so, we do have to imagine that we're going to face, Agony. Agony's a great spell. Does a big fear effect. It's 1 magic, armor negating damage, and then a big fear effect, so that's definitely something we need to worry about. Bloodletting would hurt, but it might hurt him more than it hurts me. And in terms of like battlefield magic, I mean, harm, I guess. Blood Rain, if he goes that deep. We'll see. Honestly, like, I'm not sure what he would bring. Now, so I think we might have to delay going on to man's capital as we deal with this situation with Ulm. Maybe we'll be able to negotiate something. But that's going to be it for that front. Okay, down here. By the way, guys, there's a bug there's a little patch here in Dominions that basically buffed like E.A. McCone and did a few other random things. But there's a bit of a display bug in that excuse me, the unit icon that it uses to display this army kind of like picks one unit and then multiplies it by a million. So apparently, my army here is made of a ton of crystal mages, which would be really scary. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, not accurate. So here he appears to have some barbarian horsemen. I guess he has the... Oh shit, it's a Tispot. All of the mercs. Yeah, so anyways, that's going on there. Now, the other interesting thing is if Ulm is investing into like raiding or attacking this, then does that mean he's pieced out with Pangea and he's let Satis take over Pangea? Question mark. I'll have to ask Pangea about that. I'm not sure. Over here, another interesting development. The stack of Gamherding seems to have moved off the throne and it's moving west, so I'm not sure where it's going. That'll be interesting to keep track of. But this is probably good news for Athea, who's had this stack of giants on his border for a very long time. Now, I did talk to Atlantis, and he was just saying, look, he's redistributing his armies after he fought Mikland over here. I didn't get like vibes like he was about to attack me, but he could. Like there might have been a negotiation, like man might have asked for help, and maybe he's going to try to take advantage of this because Atlantis is about to, charge in on this side. So we'll have to, like, look, if all of a sudden we have to fight Atlantis, then we'll have to concede this to Ulm, and that's okay. I mean, it was never ours, I'm not entitled to it. And we'll have time, we'll have at least, look, if I had to piece men out right now, we still came out ahead. We didn't lose anything in this war, and we'll have gained, like, a bunch of land. We could piece out, give him back, like, some provinces here, and I'd be happy with, with these gains. Like, if I had to turn around now and go fight, like, Atlantis for long, sure, we could do that. And what's kind of nice about this situation is I won't be caught with my army all the way here on his cap, having to haul ass all the way over here. If I have to play around these provinces for a few turns, that's kind of okay. So what we've done in terms of the turn micro, there was a few ancestors that needed to be twice born, so we have done that. We also... Oh, shit, I just remembered something. Okay. You got mage recruitment and stuff like that. Yeah, there's actually a couple more things I wanted to do. One thing I wanted to do is... Maybe we could do it here. First of all, let's... I want to get more... I would like to... All right, 150. Let's actually... I want to recruit the more heavy calf, but I want to get a few more mages. I want to get some earth mages to craft. I'm hoping... I would like to get a earth mage who's a nature random, because I'd like to craft a few boots. And I'm actually going to start crafting them now with just regular hammers. So let's get that started here. Whatever, we could use you. I want to craft some boots of the messenger, the Reinvig boots. Just because they're a good item to have on mages, just in general, right? But it's really useful to be able to move around some mages across your territory. So like right now, I wanted to bring my sacreds up over here to sort of beef up my my stare down across the border force here. And the heavy cav can make the sacred cav can make it here in one turn, and so can this mage, because he's not technically old. But this guy turns out is old, and when you're old, your map move goes down, and then he can't make it. So he can make this trip, but this trip is just a bit too far. So the boots are a great way to move these cap mages around, but also any other important mages around. Sometimes you don't want to waste turns, and you just need to move your mages around. So it's really useful to have a few map mobility items. Obviously, winged boots can do the trick, quickness boots can do the trick, but given the gems that we have, and the fact that they give you Reinvig 3, it's just great for mages. So we're going to forge a few of those. The other thing that I've done this turn is we hit Conjuration 6, which means a few things. So actually, in Conjuration, recall that we have access to some summons. In particular, we have Celestial Hounds, which are little flying sacred dogs. We've got Celestial Soldiers, which are size 4, pretty nice sacred kind of ox head dudes. And there's actually also Celestial Servant, which is just a big dude with a rake, but he's also sacred. Now, the thing is, that guy takes earth. I don't have a ton of earth. Those other guys take air, and I don't have a ton of air, and we use a lot of air in our fights. So that's out of the picture for now. Now, it is Conjuration 6, which unlocks for us Flame Spirits from fire. And I really need to site search fire. So we're going to make one Flame Spirit. Now, I'm wondering what our tech choice is going to be after Conjuration 7. And I think we have another turn to think about it. I was debating to myself whether I would go for Conjuration 8 or not. And at first I was thinking, nah, I'm not going to do it. But I'm leaning more and more towards it, to tell you the truth. So, and I think the major part of it is to get up with Well of Misery. Now, Conjuration 8 gives you Elemental Royalty. And it's a bit of a race to see who gets them first. Given the nations that are in the game. So the Elemental Royalty, you've got air, fire, earth, water. To get the water one, you have to summon it from underwater. That's a bit trickier. And I'm happy with my current water access, so it's not an emergency. It would be nice to get Kings of Elemental Earth. Now, casting it is going to be tricky because I've only got like Earth 2 basically. Now, I've got obviously Earth boots. Forging the Bloodstone is going to take some doing because you have to be Earth here. Let me show you the item here, this booster. You have to be Earth 2, which means I have to get like a Ring of Wizardry, which is very expensive in Astral, and we don't have a lot of Astral gems. We can make the Ring of Wizardry easily. Like, the paths aren't the issue, the gems are the issue. So it honestly is probably going to be faster to empower an Earth Mage in Blood and then use Blood boosters. So that's a ways off. However, we could definitely do the fire elementals, and we can also do Ruarks, the King of Banefires. So we could get some of these guys. Now, in terms of what else do we get here that's useful? Fairy Court would give us a stronger air mage. It would give us an air 3 mage. She's also a nature 3 mage. And that is definitely appealing to me. It would certainly simplify some of my turn 1, big air spells that I need to get off. So I'm definitely interested in Fairy Court. But then it would also allow us to get a gem global up, which would be Well of Misery. And Well of Misery is actually something people are happy because it increases worldwide income by 10%, so people don't usually want to dispel it. Already we have Mother Oak and Stellar Focus up. I wouldn't mind going to Conjuration 8. Now, Conjuration 8 is like a slow, it's going to take like 4 or 5 turns to get. So I'm not sure I get it right away. I could definitely, I think, before I would go Conjuration 8, I would consider Construction 6. And now that we might be fighting Ulm, I might want to get Thaumaturgy 5 for Soul Slay. In fact, I'm almost certain that's what I'm going to do, because that's going to be really quick. That's going to be like 2 turns. And just being able to Soul Slay those Immortals is really important. So probably we're going to do Thaumaturgy 5. I think Construction 6 is worth getting, and then we'll kind of take it from there. The other option, if we don't do Conjuration 8 right away, is going down Enchantment. Well, actually, or more Alteration. Because it would be really nice to get, and honestly, given where I'm at now in terms of tech, Alteration 8 might be the play before Enchantment 7 or 8, because now's about the time where I would feel a lot better if I could start doing battlefield-wide spells for elemental resistances, like Cold, if we're worried about Atlantis. So here I would be doing Warriors of Muspelheim, which would be easy enough to do on a Flame Spirit, which we're about to summon. This also gives us the Fire Resistance buff, which is useful, and the Shock Resistance buff, which is easy to cast from fire, and Will of the Fates, which is a fantastic spell. So all of these are, and it gives us Disintegrate. We have Death 2 Mages, so there's a lot of great spells here. Now, obviously, I love High Enchantment. Mass Regeneration is the shit. And we also get the Elemental Resistance here. Their resistances here. They're just with the other paths. So this is super. All this is good stuff too. I don't. For example, I'm not super. Life After Death, really nice. There's a lot of great stuff here too. Don't get me wrong. But as a one-stop shop, this is going to depend a lot on whether I feel threatened by Atlantis. But I could definitely see myself going to Alteration 8. Because the other thing to keep in mind is, like, Will of the Fates works really well with ghosts. Against anybody. That's like a great synergy there. So we'll have to, that certainly might be something we consider. Let's queue this up for now, and we'll reevaluate later. Yeah, so I think that's it. Oh, when do I get... Oh, Mountain Fiend is 7. Okay, so we'll wait a few turns on the Mountain Fiends. I think that's going to be it for this turn. I'll have to remember... Well, I'll try to reach out to Alm, see if he wants to negotiate something, and that'll be it for now. So see you guys next time. Take care.